news of the day.
Mr. Zimmerman, have you made a decision as to whether or not you want to testify in this case?
With values that never die.
There are certainly a lot of controversies or scandals brewing right now when it comes to the Obama administration.
This is American Heartland with Dr. Grace.
Dealing with the federal government is not always high-tech, and it's not always user-friendly.
The stories that matter.
This is a massive escalation in the tension here in Egypt.
The issues that count.
I don't know why the media tries to make this into a sensation. We have never hidden the fact that we supply Syria with weapons.
This is American Heartland with Dr. Grace.
He's got the red, white, blue flying high on the farm. Semper Fi tattooed on his left arm.
Welcome to American Heartland with Dr. Grace. You can tell by my voice, it's obviously not Dr. Grace. It's not even close to Dr. Grace. It's the opposite gender of Dr. Grace. It's not, unless you thought maybe I was a transgender or a transsexual or something, but let that go. It's Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, filling in for Dr. Grace, the genius, I call her. The brains in our family. Full disclosure, not only am I a radio talk show host on WRKO, as many of you know, up in Boston and the greater Boston area in New England, but I'm also the very happy husband, the hubby of Dr. Grace. She's not feeling well. She's been battling a cold, so I'm going to be filling in for this week's show. Okay, my friends, a lot to talk about. But clearly, when it comes to the week in review, the big story, BB did it, baby. Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, pulled off an absolute stunning comeback. Many of the polls had him neck and neck with the leftist opposition, the Zionist Union. Many in the American media were openly rooting for Bibi to go down. The Obama administration wanted him to go down. The dear leader, President Barack Hussein Obama, almost made it a personal project of his. He sent his top campaign people to help the leftist opposition. There is now increasing revelations that Obama illegally has been funneling taxpayer dollars, that he funneled it for the last month in the campaign to help finance, fund, and aid the leftist opposition, meddling, interfering in the internal affairs of Israel, of Israel's democracy, in a deliberate attempt to subvert the election and defeat his public enemy number one, Benjamin Netanyahu, otherwise known as Bibi. And what is absolutely remarkable is that contrary to all the prognosticators in the liberal non-mainstream media, contrary to everything claimed by the White House, everything liberal pundits around the world were hoping for, please, don't let Bibi win this election. The Israelis want change. Get rid of that warmonger. Get rid of that nationalist. Get rid of that man who dared stand up to the president in a speech to Congress and call him out on his disastrous deal with Iran that will pave the path to a nuclear bomb for the Islamo-Nazis in Tehran. Finally, the West has found a champion. Finally, someone had, as the Spanish would say, the cojones to stand up and criticize the dear leader. And for this, Obama, the petulant, arrogant, petty, spoiled child that he is, the Sun King, who is so drunk with power, so consumed with hubris and pride, this wannabe dictator who cannot stand any criticism or any opposition, vowed revenge upon Bibi and upon Bibi's blatant attempt to stand up to him and scuttle this disastrous deal with Iran. Yet, against all the odds, Bibi Netanyahu not only won, he won big. It was not even close. He won with 30 seats in the Israeli parliament, the Knesset. He now has enough support among nationalist religious parties to form the next governing coalition. In essence, Bibi took on not only the left, he took on the Obama machine and the president personally, and he beat him. And the liberal media in this country, the water carriers for the dear leader, could not hide their disappointment, their anger, and their frustration. Listen to ABC News with their reportage about Bibi's stunning victory in the Israeli elections. Roll it, Britain.
Overseas, an election shocker this morning with major implications here at home. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has mounted a surprise comeback, pulling off what appears to be a resounding win. ABC's Alex Marquardt is here to explain what this means for Mideast peace process and U.S. nuclear talks with Iran. Alex, good morning.
Good morning, Amy. This is a stunning victory for Netanyahu, a landslide that none of the polls had predicted. You can be sure there's a lot of disappointment at the White House this morning, realizing they have to try to work with Netanyahu for the next 2 years, a man who has been such a thorn in their sides, and that is unlikely to change anytime soon, with Netanyahu this week coming out against a Palestinian state after the Obama administration has worked so hard on a peace process.
No, he's been such a thorn in the side of the dear leader. Oh my God, no. Oh, and during the campaign, Bibi pulling out all the stops with 1 week left, with the polls showing it neck and neck, he did, frankly, what any good politician does. And for some reason, he's now being condemned for this. He's now being decried as a racist, as a bigot, as some kind of Jewish chauvinist, because he spoke out against a Palestinian state. Why would the Jewish Prime Minister of Israel, knowing full well that if you give the Palestinians a state, it will be Hamas that will run it, not only in Gaza, but in the West Bank and East Jerusalem, which would be presumably the capital of an independent Palestinian state. Hamas has called for the destruction of Israel. It's right there in their constitution, in their charter. The Palestinians have never been interested in peace. That is the big lie that has been peddled by the left and by the liberals in this country for decades. Yasser Arafat never wanted peace. Fatah doesn't want peace. Hamas doesn't want peace. What they want, as they have said repeatedly, is death to Israel and to push all the Jews into the sea, to drive them into the sea. They don't want some Palestinian state on the West Bank and Gaza. What they want is all of Israel, because they believe that the Jews of Israel are sitting on Arab Palestinian land. That's what they teach their kids. That's what they teach in the schools. That's what they say in all their newspapers. That's what they say in speech after speech in front of audience after audience after audience. So who are we kidding? And so Netanyahu just said, hey, look, forget this fiction of a peace process. Let me be honest with you. The peace process is only interested in a process. That's what it is, a process. A way for people to keep making a lot of money and pretend that somehow in this negotiation, at this conference, in this city, in this European capital, with everybody making money and everybody spending money on this elaborate affair, that somehow we're going to reach some kind of a long-term deal based on a two-state solution. There can never be a two-state solution because the Palestinians are only interested in one-state solution, a Palestinian state all the way to the Mediterranean, with Tel Aviv and Jerusalem completely ethnically cleansed of all Jews. So they want to destroy them. What is there to negotiate? But you can see the disappointment in the liberal media. Oh, my God. He's been such a thorn in the side. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. What is the president going to do? Oh, the dear leader. Listen now to CBS. Listen to how CBS... I mean, this guy, I think he's going to jump off a building. I think he's going to commit Harry Carey. I think he's going to commit suicide right there. He was so... No, the dear leader lost. No, how come he lost? Why did Bibi win? Why? Roll it, Brittany.
In American political parlance, you can call him the comeback kid. He trailed in the opinion polls, but won the only poll that matters, the vote. We face great diplomatic and security challenges, he warned his supporters. First, the victory, then the victory kiss with his wife, Sarah. You have given me much strength, he said. It was an election that saw an enormous turnout of almost 72%. Even a bride took time to vote. The morning after was good for some, like Eli Netanyahu, who runs a stall at Tel Aviv's Carmel Market. He will take care of security, he told us. He will only go to war when we really need to. But others had hoped for someone new who would jumpstart an economy where prices are high, and many feel the chance for a good life, even being able to buy an apartment, is slipping away.
It's gone.
Maura Grossman had a hard time hiding her disappointment.
I wanted to change.
What change?
Just to have a better economic situation here in Israel and better security issues. And now we're faced with the same government, so...
This is a tough break for President Obama. Netanyahu wants to torpedo the American-led effort in an Iranian nuclear weapons deal, and he now says he opposes a separate Palestinian state, a major stumbling block in any Mideast effort at peace.
Netanyahu won. No. He's going to torpedo an Iranian deal. Oh, my God, a major stumbling block. He's opposed to a Palestinian state. Oh, my God, what's the dear leader going to do? Oh, my God. The Iranian deal, let us be very clear about this, is a dagger aimed at the heart of the Jews of Israel and eventually us here in the United States. It is an absolute sellout. It is appeasement at its absolute worst. It will give the mullahs the ultimate weapon of mass destruction. And on the ballot was not so much the leftist opposition. On the ballot was Obama. And he openly campaigned for the leftist leader, Isaac Herzog. Obama said, you keep Netanyahu, it will destroy American-Israeli relations. He let it be known. His people funded the opposition. They ran the campaign of the opposition, and essentially Bibi defeated Obama. And my friends, the larger point is this. Bibi ran as a conservative. He ran as a free market guy. He ran as a conservative, as a nationalist who will stand up to the Iranians and defend and put Israel first. And have you noticed, whenever conservatives run as conservatives, they win. Whether it be in Israel, whether it be Scott Walker in Wisconsin, who ran against Obama not once, not twice, but 3 times and won. Whether it be the Republicans in 2010 or the Republicans in 2014. In other words, conservatism is a winning philosophy and a winning formula. And if the Israelis can practice it, and if Netanyahu can practice it, my only question is, why can't John Boehner and Mitch McConnell here? My friends, what we need in the United States of America more than ever is an American Bibi. Someone who's willing to stand up to Obama and take it to him with no apologies. Jeff Kuhner, sitting in for the Dr. Grace here on American Heartland. Don't touch that dial.
This is American Heartland with Dr. Grace. The stories that matter, the issues that count. This is American Heartland with Dr. Grace.
Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer from the great WRKO, filling in for my incredible wife. You know her as Dr. Grace on American Heartland. Welcome back, everyone, from the WTSB audience. It's an honor and a privilege to once again speaking to every single one of you out here in the Heartland in North Carolina. Okay, my friends, another major story this week, and to me it's remarkable, is the implosion of Hillary Rotten Clinton. As you know, the Emailgate scandal, whereby we now have found out, through it appears, Valerie Jarrett, who is the source of the leaks, according to Ed Klein at the New York Post, it now appears that Valerie Jarrett was the one leaking all of this information to the media, that we've now found out Hillary Clinton had a private email account as well as a private email server so she could have a secret stash of emails that would protect her from ever having to reveal any damaging information while she was Secretary of State. Her actions were not only illegal, they were not only unethical, but they strike many as obviously Nixonian. This was a scheme to conceal. This was a scheme to deceive the American people of the fact that Hillary Rotten Clinton, along with her husband Bubba, the former zipper-in-chief, through the Clinton Foundation, were using her position as Secretary of State, essentially pimping it out, to collect millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. What happened was she was flying around the world on behalf of the American government as our top ambassador, as our top diplomat, as our Secretary of State, and checks were flowing into the Clinton Foundation. And according to the Wall Street Journal and other media outlets, it's now come to be known many of these checks, we're talking tens of millions of dollars, were coming from the Saudis. Were coming from the Gulf Arabs. Were coming from foreign governments and foreign sources around the world where it was pay to play. They gave money to the Clinton Foundation where Bill and Hillary enriched themselves in exchange for influence. And all that's now left to do to unravel this entire despicable, dark scandal and plot is to just look at the books. When was she receiving checks from the Saudis? When was she receiving checks from the Kuwaitis? When was she receiving checks from the Qataris and from the Gulf sheiks? And was this when she was actually flying into Saudi Arabia or flying into Kuwait or flying into Qatar or all these other Muslim countries that clearly want to have an influence on American foreign policy? And so what she essentially did was, it was a form of bribery. It was a form of influence peddling. It was a form of cronyism and corruption at its worst. She flies down to Riyadh. They give her a couple $1 million. She then flies to Kuwait. They give her another couple $1 million. Then she's off to Bangladesh. They slip her a cool $1 million. Then she goes to Sri Lanka. They put in a cool $1 million. They use the Secretary of State position to line their pockets. And they didn't want anybody to know about it. And that's why they had a private stash of emails. Basically, a hidden form of emails so there'd be no paper trail and nobody could track it down and expose them. Furthermore, all of her decisions regarding Benghazi. Benghazi? What's Benghazi? Whereby she gave the order to stand down, whereby she refused to give any security or protection to Ambassador Chris Stevens as he begged for it months and months and months before that terrorist atrocity took place, where then she deliberately manipulated the evidence to systematically cover up the terrorist murder of 4 Americans, including our ambassador. If there are no government emails, if there's no government email account, there's no paper trail. And that's why she wanted to have a secret email, her own private email, off the books. It was a scheme to deliberately conceal damaging information, incriminating information. It was a scheme to deliberately deceive and manipulate the American people. And as this story has now blown wide open, her poll numbers are now dropping like a stone. And so Rasmussen now reports, for the first time in years, that I'm not talking about Republicans or independents or moderates, but now Democrats, 54% of Democrats now say they want a, quote, fresh face to be their nominee in 2016. A majority, over half of Democrats, are now saying no more Clintons. We don't want Hillary Rotten. We don't want Bubba. We don't want the Clinton machine and the Clinton gang anymore running the party or running our country. Anybody but Hillary. And so in this political vacuum, Martin O'Malley, former governor of Maryland, frankly a tax and spend liberal, he raised taxes so often in Maryland, his record was so bad, I swear to you, it led to a Republican being elected to the government in Maryland for the second time in 45 years. Only the second time in 45 years. That's how bad his record as a tax and spend liberal was. But let that go. O'Malley is now going to Iowa. And many people are now saying that if former Governor Martin O'Malley runs as a principled liberal or progressive, he can beat Hillary. Pressure is now growing for what I call Chief Spreading Bull, the phony, the fake Indian, Elizabeth Warren, senator from here in Massachusetts, the darling of progressives, who loves to bash the banks, loves to bash big business, loves to bash corporations, the intellectual theorist of the Occupy Wall Street movement, the so-called 99% versus the 1%. There is now growing pressure upon Elizabeth Warren, Chief Spreading Bull, to get into the race. And with her, you get a twofer, at least for the liberals, for the moonbats. Not only would she neutralize Hillary as the first woman president of the United States, so neutralize the gender card that the Democrats are so desperate to play, but she could claim to be the first Native American Indian. You're not breaking one glass ceiling, you'd be breaking 2 potentially with the chief. And so a lot of progressives are now urging Elizabeth Warren to run. Run, Liz, run is their slogan. Another name that's being mentioned, Al Gore. The inventor of the internet, the man who's made tens and tens of millions of dollars on the hoax and fiction of global warming and climate change, is now being said to be interested in potentially throwing his hat in the ring. Now, frankly, I don't know if you've seen him lately. He looks a little puffy. He looks a little bloated. He looks a bit on the heavy side. He's got a couple of love handles. I know his masseuse likes to work on those areas in particular, but let that go. So you've got Al Gore potentially running. The environmentalists would love him. The labor unions would love him. The establishment Democratic Party would love him. Elizabeth Warren, the feminists and the young people on college campuses would love her. Martin O'Malley, anybody but Hillary. she's now having serious competition. Because now she is no longer the obvious heir apparent. This is not going to be a coronation. Now they see her support is soft. Her support is weak. And as this scandal is sort of like Watergate, as it grows and grows and grows, as you follow the money and follow the evidence, it will lead to Hillary's downfall. And I'm going to make a prediction right here, right now, on American Heartland. Mark my words, you can hold me to it. If a serious Democrat runs against her in the Democratic primary, Hillary Clinton will lose. Let me repeat that. If a serious challenger runs against her in the Democratic primary, Hillary Clinton will lose. Because even feminists are now turning against Hillary. Why? Because for years, she deliberately aided and abetted and covered up the sexual crimes, the sexual predator that is Bill Clinton. Don't take my word for it. Here is famous feminist author and writer Camille Paglia, recently interviewed on Reason Television, saying, why would you want the Clintons back in the White House, but especially if you're a woman? If you care about feminism and women's rights, why in God's name would you want to elect Hillary to be president in 2016? Listen to Professor Camille Paglia just rip the Clintons apart. Roll it, Brittany.
What is it about Hillary that bothers you?
She's a fraud, okay?
Yeah. Explain, how is she a fraud?
Hillary is a mess, okay? And we're going to reward with the presidency a woman who has enabled, okay, the depredations and the exploitation of women, okay, by that corn-pone husband of hers, and so on. I mean, it's like the way feminists have made themselves blind, okay, to Hillary's record, okay, of trashing. They were going to try to destroy Monica Lewinsky, and so on. I mean, it's a scandal. Anyone who believes in sexual harassment guidelines, okay, should have seen that the disparity of power between Clinton and Monica Lewinsky was one of the most grotesque ever, okay, in the history of sex crime. Okay, he's a sex criminal, okay, and so on. We're going to put that guy back in the White House? Okay, this Hillary is ridden on his coattails. Yeah. This is not a woman who has her own career, made her own career. She's a woman who failed the bar exam in Washington.
She's completely right. Professor Camille Paglia is 110% right. Hillary is the anti-feminist. You want to talk about a war on women? She is the war on women. And now it's all coming undone. And I got to tell you something, my friends. If any Democrat out there is listening, if you want to beat the Clintons, now is the time to do it. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, sitting in for Dr. Grace on American Heartland. We'll be right back. Don't touch that dial.
This is American Heartland with Dr. Grace. The stories that matter, the issues that count. This is American Heartland with Dr. Grace.
Welcome back to American Heartland with Dr. Grace, Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, cleaning up the liberal bull. You can hear me every Monday to Friday, 6 to 10 a.m. Eastern Time on the great WRKO AM 680. I'm filling in for the genius, Dr. Grace. Full disclosure, she's also my wife, so I'm a little biased on that score, but let that go. She's under the weather. She's battling a bit of a cold, but she should be fine, refreshed, recharged, ready to go next week. Okay, my friends. I got to tell you, when it comes to the dear leader, when it comes to the Marxist-in-chief in the White House, the con man-in-chief, Barack Hussein Obama, you know, I don't know if he believes what he's saying. Honestly, I don't know if he believes in his own BS, if he believes in his own nonsense, or if he's just a pathological liar. Honestly, you know, it's like, to me, it's sort of like when I go to Dairy Queen. No, I swear. I go back and forth. Do I have the dipped cone? Do I have the chocolate sundae? The banana split? Chocolate sundae, banana split, chocolate sundae, banana split. I go the same way when it comes to Obama, the dear leader. Pathological liar or propagandist? Pathological liar or propagandist? I don't know. But recently, the dear leader, as his poll numbers continue to erode, as he becomes increasingly irrelevant, as he's faced with one setback and defeat after another, losing the House, losing the Senate, losing the midterm elections, now seeing Bibi Netanyahu slap him in the face again by winning an election that Obama staked his prestige on in defeating him, it seems now Obama is desperate to claim victory somewhere. Somehow, somewhere, he needs to win. And so recently now, he's been going out telling everybody, I swear to you, I'm not making this up. This is not something from The Onion. This is not some skit from Saturday Night Live. Obamacare? Not only is it working, but I swear to you, according to the dear leader, it's working even better than I thought it possibly could work. It's defied all expectations. It is such an absolutely irrefutable success. It's one of the greatest success stories of ever. Even the president, El Presidente, the dear leader, even I couldn't believe how successful my own program, my own nationalized healthcare program could be. Check out Obama saying that the critics of Obamacare, Republicans, conservatives, the Tea Party, they were all wrong. By God, it's working better than even I expected. Roll it, Brittany.
They believe it's time to end the social contract that sustains so many of us.
Yep.
The basic bargain of shared sacrifice and shared responsibility. Own it and make the argument.
Yeah.
But you can't credibly claim that this vision is about helping working families get ahead.
No.
Or that this budget's a path to prosperity. No. It's the same argument I'm having with health care.
Yeah.
It was one thing for them to argue against Obamacare before it was put in place. Mm-hmm. Every prediction they've made about it turned out to be wrong. Mm. So it's working better than even I expected. But it doesn't matter. Evidence be damned. It's still a disaster. Well, why?
But why?
The truth is, the budget they're putting forward and the theories they're putting forward are a path to prosperity for those who've already prospered.
Making the rich
and
richer.
In that sense, it's a story of retreat.
There we go. Okay, Brittany.
And I'm offering
this guy's
path.
giving me a headache. Again, bashing millionaires and billionaires, Republicans as the party of the rich, blah, 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 blah. That same old tired line. Have you noticed all he's got, when everything is said and done, when you strip him down to his essence, he's nothing more than a second-rate community activist from the south side of Chicago. That's it. That's it. That's all. He's just a disciple of Reverend Jeremiah Wright. He's an anti-American, socialist, Marxist at his core. He knows only how to do three things. He's like a tape. You just play over and over and over again. The gender card, war on women, the race card, and the class warfare card. That's all he knows how to do. Bash the 1%, by the way, as they've made out like bandits under his watch. But let that go. Blame Whitey and white America. Play the race card. Trayvon Martin, Big Mike Brown, Ferguson, you name it. There's the dear leader, always inciting racial tensions. There he is. Or the war on women, the gender crowd. The gender card, forgive me. That's all he's got. And so he's talking about now the Republican budget, which wants to reform Medicare, reform Medicaid, try to get our entitlements under control before they bankrupt us. And it's just more smears and more lies. But let's get to Obamacare. It's working even better than I expected. Are you kidding me? Evidence be damned. You want evidence? I'll give you evidence. It was you, dear leader, not me, not Republicans, not the Tea Party. It was you, dear leader, that said if you pass Obamacare, the average cost for every American family of four, healthcare costs will go down $2,500. That's exactly what you said, dear leader. What has happened after Obamacare has been passed? The average costs of healthcare for a family of four has gone up $4,000, even in some cases $5,000 or $6,000. Remember, you said you can keep your doctor. If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. Millions have lost their doctors. You know how I know? Not only has it been widely reported, it happened to me. I lost my general physician. Because of Obamacare, on my health plan, I was kicked off. I couldn't have, my doctor was kicked off my plan. You said if you like your health care plan, you can keep your health care plan. That's another lie. Because millions of Americans lost their health care plan. You know how I know? Because I lost my health care plan because of Obamacare. Do you know how much my health care costs went up for the exact same coverage? My coverage didn't get better. The exact same coverage. For the Kuhner man, for my family, for Dr. Grace and our two munchkins. Little Ashton, who's now 5, Ava, who's now 2. $4,800. My health care costs went up $400 a month under you. You're telling me it's working better than you ever expected? You said it wouldn't add a dime to the deficit. The Congressional Budget Office, it's the budget research arm, the budget arm of Congress. It's supposed to be nonpartisan. You liberals always cite it. The Congressional Budget Office has now estimated that Obamacare will cost Americans, it will add $2 to $3 trillion to the debt. Trillion with a T. You lied. You said it wouldn't raise costs. You lied. You said people could keep their doctor. You lied. You said that it would lower premiums. You lied. You said people could keep their health care plan. You lied. You lied and lied and lied and lied. And all of Obamacare was sold on a pack of lies. And now, after this train wreck, this monstrosity has cost us God knows how much economic damage, how it's taken over much of the healthcare sector, how it's already begun to institute rationing, as it's already led millions of people to lose their healthcare coverage or lead them to pay $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 more, hurting American families, working families, middle-class families, all across the country. You have the guts, you have the gall, you have what the Jews like to call the chutzpah, the cheek, the face, to stand there and openly tell us that this thing is working better than you ever expected? Quote, evidence be damned? The only one that's damning the evidence is you. This thing is such an obvious failure. The Republicans ran almost exclusively on repealing and replacing Obamacare in the midterm elections. That and stopping his executive amnesty. That was the essence of the Republican campaign. And Mr. President, you were destroyed. The Democrats were destroyed in one of the most devastating midterm election defeats in modern American history. And you still haven't learned your lesson. My friends, there's an old saying by Hitler's minister of propaganda, Joseph Goebbels. If you repeat, it's called the big lie. If you repeat lies often enough, it will become accepted as truth. He honestly believes that if he keeps telling us what a wonderful, great thing Obamacare is, that the American people will eventually swallow it and believe it. Well, I got news for him. Americans, you may think they're stupid, but they're not that stupid. Obamacare is an albatross around Obama and the Democrats. And come 2016, you're going to see a new Republican president with a Republican Congress sweep into power, and then we're going to rip it out, repeal it, root and branch. And that day can't come soon enough. Jeff Kuhner, sitting in for Dr. Grace on American Heartland. I've got a lot more coming. Don't go anywhere.
This is American Heartland with Dr. Grace. The stories that matter, the issues that count. This is American Heartland with Dr. Grace.
Welcome back to American Heartland with Dr. Grace. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, filling in for the genius, Dr. Grace. Okay, my friends, obviously final segment of the show. If you want to hear the Kuhner Man, you can listen to me, WRKO, 680 AM, up in Boston, as they say, the cradle of the American Revolution, from 6 to 10 a.m., Monday to Friday. Conservative Tea Party audience. Honestly, I think the greatest audience in radio today, but that's just me. All right, my friends. This is one of the most important issues of our time. And you're not going to hear about it spoken or discussed in a serious way in the liberal media, in the government media complex, as I call it, on television, frankly, in newspapers, even on conservative talk radio. Many so-called conservatives are running from this issue. They're afraid of this issue because they fear, and in some ways they rightly fear, that it could destroy their career. And that issue is homosexuality and same-sex marriage. And before I get into this very important story, it's one of the most important stories I've ever covered. To the WTSB audience, let me bare my soul to you as a Christian, as somebody who believes that, let me be candid with you, that Jesus Christ is my Lord, my King, and my Savior. As somebody who tries to walk in the footsteps of Jesus every day. I'm not perfect. I have original sin. I sin like everybody else, but I do my best to try to follow in the path and the teachings of Jesus. As a Christian family man, we are now engaged in a culture war. Whether we want to or not, that is the reality of the age that we live in. We live in a secular age. We live in many ways a decadent age. We live in an age where our amoral, anti-Christian, in many ways Christophobic elites who despise our Judeo-Christian heritage, who despise our Constitution, who despise our founding document, the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, have effectively declared war on Christianity. In our schools, in our courthouses, in popular culture, in academia, in the media, wherever you go, they are doing everything possible to purge religion and, in particular, Christianity from the public square. And if Christians do not stand up and say enough is enough, and we will defend our religious freedoms and our religious liberties, no matter what the cost, we will become the new blacks of the 21st century. We will start riding at the back of the bus. We will become slowly disenfranchised. We will start drinking at separate water fountains, go to separate schools. In other words, they will do to us what has been done to Christians repeatedly throughout history. They will try to drive us, and they will drive us into the catacombs. Listen, hyperbole? Jeff, come on now, Jeff. You're exaggerating, Jeff. Come on, you're being so melodramatic. Okay, listen to this story. This happens to be a story regarding the Catholic Church, a Catholic teacher, and a Catholic school. But frankly, it could stand for any religious denomination, be it Baptist, Presbyterian, Evangelical, Methodist, whatever religious Christian denomination you happen to practice. And I say, God bless you. This is the land of religious liberty. To me, you should be free to practice whatever religion you believe in. This could happen to you. Now, it's the Catholics. Tomorrow, it will be you. All Christians are now under assault. Listen to this story. And I want to give a big hat tip to BreitbartNews.com because they were the ones that really blew this story wide open. There is a Catholic school in Somerville, New Jersey, the Immaculata Conception, which is tied to a local parish. It's very common. You have a school tied to a local parish. There is a teacher that has been working there for over 30 years. Her name is Patricia Giannuzzi. She's obviously of Italian descent. She's a very devout Catholic. She has been, as I said, it's a Catholic school. It's not a public school. It's a Catholic parochial school. And by every single account, she has been a model employee, a model teacher. The students say she's very devoted, very dedicated. There's never been one complaint about her. And not only that, when she's done teaching, because she's a very devout woman, she's a devout Catholic, devout Christian, she works at her local parish. She volunteers at her local parish. She volunteers for church activities. She's basically devoted her life to the church and to Christ. Recently, she went on Facebook, her own personal Facebook page. It wasn't even the school's Facebook page. By the way, this story was in Somerville, New Jersey, okay? And on her personal Facebook page, she never insulted gays. She never insulted homosexuals. She never used slurs. She never used the F word. She never said anything that was deliberately derogatory or insulting or in any way, shape, or form scurrilous. She didn't stand there and call names. She didn't use the F-bomb. All she said was, I kid you not, that she opposes same-sex marriage. And as she put it, marriage should be between a man and a woman. This is what the church teaches. This is what the Bible teaches. This is what the Christian tradition teaches. And as she goes on to say, it's the most natural institution of society. You have a man, you have a woman, they fall in love. Guess what? They get married. And then guess what? They have a baby. And if they're really lucky, they have another baby. And if you're really, really lucky, you even have another baby. And so as she put it in her Facebook page, if you destroy traditional marriage, if you redefine it as anything you want it to be, man with man, man with woman, two men, two women, soon it's now already coming 3 men or 2 men and 1 woman, or here in Massachusetts, you have 3 women now who want to be acknowledged as a loving married couple. It will destroy civilization as we know it. Because the purpose of marriage, which is, I'm talking, this is pure Catholic gospel, agree, disagree, this is what the Catholic Church teaches. That marriage is a divine institution because it's the best way for a man and a woman to procreate, have children within a loving family, and then to socialize and raise children. Because men, their nature, their biology, their psychological makeup, their very character and essence is different from women. Women have a unique role and a unique nature. Men have a unique role and a unique nature. And that's why the most harmonious family is where you have a mother and a father. That's what's best for a child. That's the ideal. That's the norm. That's what you should shoot for. That's what you should aim for. As God is my witness, the liberals, progressives, and the LGBT community have gone after this poor woman, portraying her, I swear to you, as the second coming of Adolf Hitler. Susan Sarandon has got involved, the Hollywood actress. Former alumni got involved. One person who even, I think, was kind of a transgender person on one of these reality TV shows, the Housewives of New Jersey. This person got involved, and they are now insisting that to be opposed to same-sex marriage, listen to this, is akin to, quote, hate speech. And that this Catholic school cannot condone and support hate speech, and not only should she have to take down the Facebook posting, but they wanted her fired. They demanded that she be fired, that she lose her employment, that she be professionally destroyed. What did the church do? What did the parish do? Those gutless, yellow-livered cowards succumbed to the Gestapo. They succumbed to the gay mafia. They succumbed to the liberal fascists who use tolerance and compassion and respect for diversity as an excuse to persecute, bully, and intimidate Christians. In this case, Patricia Januzzi. She has now been suspended for at least a month. Her Facebook page post was taken down. And the LGBT community is now calling for her to be completely fired. In other words, you can't even be Catholic in a Catholic school? You can't even be Christian in a Christian school? To now teach that marriage is between a man and a woman? To oppose same-sex marriage? has now become a thought crime, a hate crime, in which people now must lose their jobs? This is the new McCarthyism. This is an assault on freedom of speech, on freedom of expression, and on freedom of religion. Today, it is Patricia Januzzi. Tomorrow, it will be you. To every believing Christian out there, now is the time for us to take our stand. This is America. Religious liberty for all. Love it or leave it. I gotta go, my friends. Jeff Kuhner, filling in for Dr. Grace on American Heartland. May God bless you, and may God bless the greatest country in the world, the United States of America.
In an extraordinary place, with the stars and stripes and the eagle flies.
The stories that matter, the issues that count. This is American Heartland with Dr. Grace.